Bulking equals eating more, you already know that. But there is so much more to bulking that most people are completely unaware of. So in this video, I will show you how to get the most out of your bulk. And later on, we will go over some bulking mistakes that you need to avoid if you don't want your bulk to end in a disaster. You have to completely change the way you think about bulking. Most people think about the bulking phase more as a lazy phase, where they can just lay on the couch all day and just stuff their face to the maximum. But the bulking phase is the exact opposite of a lazy phase. You need to think of bulking more as a super muscle growth phase, which means that you should be even more dialed in than before, as the bulking phase is when you can build the most muscle mass, and you don't want to waste this growth opportunity, because when you are on a bulk, two things are going to happen. You will be able to progress in the gym much faster than before, which then automatically means that your body needs more recovery time, because it has been experiencing a workload like never before. So being really diligent pays off big time. But if you instead approach it as a lazy phase, and you don't really focus on progressing in the gym, and instead of going to sleep you play more League of Legends, then the bulk you are doing is basically wasted. Sure, you will still gain weight if you are in a calorie surplus, but you probably didn't start bulking because you just wanted to weigh more. You most likely wanted to get stronger and bigger, and that is only possible when you really focus on progressing in the gym and getting enough sleep. If you are not willing to try your best when you are bulking, don't even start the bulking phase, because you will not really get anything out of it anyway. It might sound harsh, but someone needs to tell you this, because for natural lifters, the bulking phase is the best opportunity to build more muscle that you will ever get. So by not trying your best on your bulk, you are directly screwing yourself over, because you will miss out on all the muscle mass that you could have gained. Remember, even though building muscle naturally takes a lot of time, every bulk you do with maximum effort will get you that much closer to your goal. And by saying maximum effort, I really mean that you should try your absolute best so that things are as they are supposed to be. What you especially have to be diligent about is eating all your meals that you planned and not skipping any of them. This is super important because usually when you go on a bulk, you are in like a 300 to a 500 calorie surplus on average. And if you skip one of your meals that you are supposed to eat, your calorie surplus will completely vanish for that day. You don't necessarily need to stress about eating a specific meal in a specific time window. What matters the most is that at the end of the day, you eat all of your meals. That is how you guarantee that you will gain weight. But some people take this way too far. I get it, dirty bulking can be an option, but I really don't think that this is the best way of going about it. If you are a mega skeleton, then sure, you gotta do what you gotta do. But if you are at a normal body weight, going on a dirty bulk will basically always result in a disaster. You might think, I'm gonna eat a crap ton of food and turn into a monster. I hate to break your bubble, but this is not really how it works. If you go ahead with a dirty bulk and eat fast food every day and just make your calorie surplus super high, then there is only one thing that will happen. You will get fat. And you need to remember, all the weight you gain will have to get burned someday. And for most people, losing weight is much more difficult than gaining it. So if you go super overboard, you might find yourself in a pretty bad situation. That's why if you want to bulk up and get bigger and stronger without getting chubby, all you need to do is just utilize a small calorie surplus of like 300 to 500 calories. That is how you naturally build muscle, by small, consistent increases. The most common issue I see isn't even in the bulking process itself. I can't even tell you how many people are going on a bulk when they are already overweight. Like, come on dude. If you already got a soft pillow on your stomach, you should not be bulking. Unless you want to make it even worse. You really have to be honest with yourself when it comes to deciding if you need to bulk or not. You can't say something like, my arms are skinny, I need to bulk, because that is just delusion. Most people are not storing fat on their arms. You need to look at your belly, love handles, chest or legs. This is where most people are storing the fat. And if you got a big storage of fat in some of those areas, bulking will make it even worse. All that is gonna happen is that your arms will remain skinny and your storage will increase even more. But this is probably not really relevant to you if you are really active. If you are, for example, doing some competitive sport like football, hockey, swimming, boxing, or whatever else it might be, you probably got the exact opposite problem. I got a couple of friends who play football or soccer, whatever, the thing with the round ball, you know what I mean. And I can tell you that they all have that skeleton build going on, because they do so much running that it's really difficult for them to gain weight. And that is one of the most crucial bulking mistakes. If you are super active, you can't be having the same exact diet as your friend who is the same exact height and weight, but doesn't really do anything except the gym. You need to take your activity level into account, because if you don't, you will never gain weight, because you just burn way too many calories. So keep that in mind and adapt your diet accordingly. At the start of the video, I told you that you should think of bulking as a super muscle growth phase, which means that protein consumption is insanely important. But the problem with protein on a bulk is that it's highly satiating. So some folks who have lower appetite might struggle to get all the food in. So what they do, knowingly or unknowingly, is eat less protein sources and just consume more fat sources, because they are just easier to get down, which then leaves a big amount of gains on the table. Because I already told you how important it is to pay attention to your bulk so that you can get the most out of it, and missing on protein is a sure way of setting yourself back. So even if you are having a difficult time getting all the food down during your bulk, you should absolutely not skip on protein sources. All you need to do is just make smarter decisions. So instead of eating super lean chicken breast all the time to get your protein in, replace that with a fattier cut of ground beef, for example. That way you get in your protein and you also consume way more calories than before. One thing that almost no one talks about when it comes to bulking is setting a goal. And while most people have some kind of goal they want to achieve, it's usually very unrealistic. I can tell you what I have seen from my experience. Most people usually set a specific number on the scale that they want to achieve. But unless you know your body very well, this goal is probably completely unreasonable. If your goal is like, I'm gonna bulk until I'm 225 pounds, and you are currently like 170 pounds, I can tell you right now that you will not get to 225 without getting fat. So rather than blindly chasing a number on the scale, look at yourself in the mirror and try to be honest with yourself. And I get it, you see your reflection all the time, so you might not even notice that you are getting way too fat. But if your girlfriend, your friends, or your mom starts telling you that you are getting fat, they are probably onto something. And you should probably think about it at least a little bit. Because if you overdo the bulk, I can guarantee that you will regret it later. So while having a goal is 100% a good idea, try to set multiple smaller goals instead of one super big one. Which will also make you way more motivated, because the dopamine boost from completing that small goal each time will keep you going strong. But all of this is no match for this structure. Because if you don't have it, you will never succeed. You need to put pen to paper and lay out all your meals. Even if you already got it in your head, try writing it down, it really does help. You can then put it on your fridge or something. This is super underrated and it really does make a big difference. If you are looking for the best start to your bulk and to your whole bodybuilding journey, you should definitely check out the new beginner bundle, which will not only teach you the basics of nutrition and help you achieve your goal, but it will also show you the proper form for all the basic exercises. Plus, there is also a cardio guide, so you are getting the complete package that will take you to greatness without feeling confused or overwhelmed. You can learn more about it by clicking the first link in the description. And that's all I got for you today. Good luck on your bulking journey, and I will see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, then I'm sure you will enjoy this one too.